The journey of 1,000 miles, they say, begins with just a single step. For anything we want to achieve in life, wherever we want to go to in life, whatever skill we want to learn, there is always a starting point. There is that day when we decide that, okay, we want to take this first step in doing this particular thing. Just like a little child that learns how to crawl and then stands and then walk, eventually starts to run. So it's like that. Having said that, I welcome you to this Forex introductory class. This uh, class is the beginning of a longer journey we're about to embark on. Okay? So for the purpose of this lesson, this particular course is going to give us a general overview of what Forex is all about. Okay? From here, we proceed to higher lessons as we learn and continue to move at our pace. Okay? Now the content, I've tried to derive few key points that are necessary, because if we want to go by this particular topic, it may take everything, because we keep hearing one story to the next, but these are the key facts, these are the key things you just need to know when it comes to introduction to Forex. Nothing more, nothing less. So in this journey of this lesson, from the beginning to the end, we are just going to hit the nail straight to the head. There won't be any beating around the forest, the bush, jumping here and there, coming up with unnecessary stories that doesn't really count. Okay? Now the content, the very first one here is the meaning of Forex. We are going to look at the second one, what is traded in Forex, and also the size of the Forex market. Then for the third one, we are going to see the currency structure, major currency. We are going to talk about the minor currency, exotic currency, and the nicknames of the currencies. Then for the fourth content, why do you want to trade Forex? And finally, the fifth, the last but not the least, the importance of Forex trading. Okay? Now, at the end of this particular lesson, this is exactly what I expect you to know. One, you should be able to explain what Forex is all about. You should be able to know the three categories of the currency pairs that are traded. You should be able to know who a broker is. And then finally, know the way the currencies are paid in terms of the quote currency and the base currency. Having said that, let us continue. You can also take your time, replay this video over and over again. It should, in case there are key points you want to get. So Forex, which is also referred to as FX, is actually an acronym for foreign exchange. Okay? The Forex market is the largest financial market in the world, where over $9.4 trillion are exchanged globally within 24 hours and 5 days in a week. So the market opens on Monday, stays Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and eventually closes on Friday. So during weekends, there are no activities. Okay? So the market closes over the weekend and opens again the following week. So the market is a decentralized market, meaning there is no central body that is in control. Rather, these currencies are exchanged electronically via the brokerage firms around the globe. So as a result of the fact that these currencies denote different world economies, they indicate the strength and weakness of a country's economy. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is that the foreign exchange market is a very huge market. Every 24 hours a day, there are 9.4 trillion US dollars circulating all around the globe. Now, your ability to come into the market and carve out your own share of this 9.4 trillion dollars is where the skills you are about to gain will be embedded in this course outline all through. Okay, so your ability to come into the market, catch your own share of this amount is what we are talking about. And to do this, you need a broker. The broker is the person that stands in between you and the market. Okay, naturally, you and I don't have the resources to trade the foreign exchange market because there are big players that actually take part in this market, big banks globally, big financial institutions, World Bank, central banks of different countries all over the world. They are the ones that are in charge of this market majorly. They are the ones that take charge of this particular market. But the brokerage firms, these brokers, have given us the leverage, the opportunity to come into this market and get something out of it with as little as $100, $50. It depends on the broker. So different brokers permit different deposits on their platform. So having said that, let's continue. Now let's look at the meaning of Forex. Forex trading is just the simultaneous buying and selling of different countries' currencies over an agreed exchange rate. Now these countries' currencies are traded through an FX broker or a Forex broker. FX is, like I said earlier, is an acronym or the short form of saying Forex. Okay, so and they are traded in currency pairs. Okay, so the buying and selling of currency is what Forex is all about, nothing more. If you are traveling to the United States, for example, you are going to buy the US dollar. You are leaving Nigeria to US. You cannot spend Nigerian naira over there. What you actually going to spend there is US dollar. Okay, so if you go to our local banks, you see on notice boards, this electronic board where it is clearly written how much they buy and how much they also sell foreign exchange. Okay, they will indicate to you that okay, we buy at so amount and we also sell at so amount. If you go to the bureau de change offices, you see that these currency pairs are in constant fluctuations. Now these fluctuations is what you and I are capitalizing on. Okay, so if you are buying a currency in the market, it means you are going long or you are expecting the currency to go higher, and if it actually goes higher, you are going to make money. Because a lot of people are coming into this space, they get easily confused. They'll be wondering like, who am I buying this currency from? Who am I selling the currency to? Now, this is an electronic exchange. You are one man acting in two different conditions. Don't get it twisted. You are one person acting in two different conditions, in the sense that if the currency is going up, you are expected to buy that currency, and if it eventually goes up, you are going to make money. And if the currency is going down, you are expected to sell that currency, and if it goes down eventually, you are going to make money. So you can see that either ways you are making money. If the economy of a particular country is not really that good, if it's bad and the country's currency is depreciating in value, you are expected to sell. Okay, and if the country currency is appreciating in value, maybe the economy is good, if the economy is strong at that moment, you are expected to buy. So there are terminologies that we use in forex market. You may hear words like I want to go long, I want to go short, or can you go long on GBP JPY? It means you are going to buy. So if you hear going long means you should buy, and going short means you are going to sell. Okay, so having said that, let's continue. The currencies are quoted in relation to another currency. That is the country's currency that has been traded, that is quoted in relation to another country. It is not just a single currency because it is exchange of currencies. You are exchanging euro for dollar, you are exchanging dollar for euro, you are exchanging naira for dollar, you are exchanging dollar to naira. Japanese yen, which is the Japanese currency, you are changing it to naira, you are changing the Nigerian naira to Japanese yen. So it is not an independent event. That is the reason why there is a kind of a tug of war, like a tussle between both currencies. So they are traded in quotes. It is either you are trading Nigerian naira against the US dollar or the United States dollar against the Great Britain pound. Why should you trade Forex? There are several reasons why you and I should trade Forex. The very first one here is that the trading hours matters most because it opens 24 hours a day and 7 days a week for 5 days. Okay, the market is open for 5 days a week, just like I said earlier: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday. And the market doesn't sleep. Once the market opens, it runs 24 hours non-stop. It continues until we get to the weekend, where the market will eventually close. The second reason why you should trade Forex is leverage. The leverage is the ability to open bigger position sizes, which is provided by your broker. Just like I said earlier, you and I don't have the resources to trade this financial market. Normally the big banks, central banks, world banks, they are the ones, and big financial institutions all over the globe, they are the ones that are in charge of this. That actually they are the big players in the industry. But the brokers come into this space. They have given you and I the opportunity to trade. Okay, they gave you and I the opportunity to come into this market and chunk out something for ourselves also. Now, how do the brokers do this? They give us leverage. They leverage on the amount of money that you can deposit on their platform. Let's say, for example, now you have $100. You have $100, and this $100 you want to deposit it into a brokerage account, and the broker is giving you a leverage of, like for the first one here, 1:100. The broker is giving you a leverage of 1:100. That means that for every $100 you are depositing into that account, it is going to be multiplied by 100. Okay, it is going to be multiplied by 100. That is 1:100. For the second one, now brokers, they give different leverages. It depends on the broker. Some brokers give 1:100, some even give as high as 1:1,000, some 1:1,500, 1:1,200. All of these things that I'm saying will begin to make sense as we go deeper. Okay, so don't get confused. Everything here will make sense eventually with time. You get to see how you can use this leverage, the advantages of leverages and the disadvantages of this leverage. And as good as it is, it has its disadvantage. Okay, so for the first one you have 1:100. That means for every 100, for any amount you put, you have $1,000, they are going to give you another 100 of that $1,000, which will make it $100,000. If they are giving a leverage of 1:1,000 and you are depositing 1,000, that means they are going to add you another 1,000 to that 1,000 that you have. That will make it $1 million. So you have just $1,000, but you are opening a position size of $1 million. So that is the power of leverage in Forex trading. It gives you the ability or the opportunity to open bigger position sizes with little capital. Okay, so this leverage eventually is even what makes you and I to make money in the market at the end of the day. Because we leverage on this opportunity, that is where you can even make money. Now, the third reason why you should trade Forex is liquidity. Liquidity, in a very simple term, like I said, I want to make this class very simple as I can. Liquidity simply means the amount of money in circulation. Like I told you earlier, like I said earlier, the Forex market is $9.5 trillion daily volume market. So you can see that the market is highly liquid. There are a lot of money in circulation in the market. So there are a lot of money to be made in the market, but do you have the skill? Do you have the technical know-how? Do you have that mental strength to make money? Is the skill we are going to learn in this course entirely. The fourth reason is transaction cost. Forex trading gives you the opportunity to come into the market and make something good for yourself with little transaction cost. Low trading cost as it can be compared to other trading instruments like the stock market. For those of us who are trading the stock market, but for the new ones here, you may not really understand this concept. The stock market is there also. The stock market, they pay higher amount of percentage compared to the forex market. So with as little spreads as low as 0.1, as low as 0.1, 0.001, etc., you can open position sizes. As we go on, the concept of spread will be explained better as we continue this class. Okay, I think that may be our next class. We're going to talk about pips, spread, and every other concept that we need to know. So like I said, I'm just giving a general knowledge of what forex is all about here. Okay, eventually we'll continue to dig deeper until we go live. Eventually we are going to go live at the end of this training. We'll go live and we'll trade live and direct to see how far we've learned. The fifth reason why you should trade forex is ease of access. With your mobile phone, with your personal computer, you can trade the forex from anywhere in the world, anywhere you find yourself. Provided you have an internet connection and a personal computer or a mobile phone, you can trade forex. Now, ease of access. I wrote some things here like from real dollars to domiciliary account bank transfer. I'm going to explain this ease of access very well. Forex trading simply means the exchange of one country's currency to another, or the buying and selling of currencies. You buy the US dollar in US and you come to Nigeria, you sell it to naira. That is just forex for you. Okay, now in those days, our parents that actually started trading forex were moving around with real dollars. Okay, because the level of advancement, the level of development was still at its minimum. So people were carrying real cash to make this transaction. Even till date, people still do it. It's not that it is prohibited. That is actually what forex is all about. But today we do it electronically. That is what I'm going to explain now. Ease of access. In those days, people carry real dollars to the bureau de change and change this money to do business. But today you can have an account with any broker of your choice and make your money electronically. Eventually, we started having domiciliary account, which is an account designated in a foreign currency, either euro or US dollar. I could remember when personally I started hearing about forex trading, and then I picked interest. But I had a very huge challenge, and the challenge was owning a domiciliary account. I never had one. And to get a domiciliary account wasn't that easy because of the amount of capital I will need to have, or the amount of money I will need to deposit in foreign currency for me to have a domiciliary account. So brokers use your domiciliary account from your domiciliary account, you can deposit into your brokerage account and then do this trading. But as time goes on, just like every other aspect of our daily lives, everything is improving, everything is making progress, everything is growing rapidly. Today, you don't need to carry real dollars around. Today, you don't need a domiciliary account to trade this foreign exchange. Okay? Now, the brokers have brought this to our doorstep as simple as ABC. You can simply open an account with any broker and make a bank transfer in naira. You can open the account in dollars. You can open the account in naira. Okay? Like I have an account with Hot Forex. What's the name of this broker? Not Hot Forex. Can't remember. Let me just proceed with this class. So you can open that account. You can select the countries, the native token or the native currency rather that you want to make use of. Let's say you open an account with a particular broker, for example, and then you want your money to display in dollar. You are going to indicate dollar there. Now you are going to transfer your money in naira actually, but once it gets into that account, it is going to display in dollars. Let's say you have, let's say 1,000, let's say $50 is equivalent to 1,000 naira. So that means if you are depositing $50, if you are transferring 1,000 naira into your brokerage account, what you are going to see will be $50. Let's say you eventually traded and make some money. You have converted that $50 to, let's say, another $1,000. You multiply that by the current exchange rate. That will be the value in naira. Okay, so the ease of access with as simple as a simple bank transfer. I could remember when I started trading back in 2015, 17. No, rather two. Yeah, I started a long time, but I stopped along the way due to school challenges and every other thing. But eventually, came into the system fully. I think around 2018/19. Okay, so I back then we most of the broker I'm using, you cannot make transfer to the account. So what do? I make transfer using my bank card. Okay, I make transfer to my brokerage account using my bank card. But our country Nigeria is a very funny environment where they keep on bringing funny funny what will I say for ideas and philosophies every now and then. Back then you can spend limitless amount with your debit card, be it Verve, MasterCard, or what is the name of other card. You can spend any amount online. Eventually they started reducing the amount. I could remember in the last administration they even reduced it to as low as $2 or $10 or so. It doesn't really make any sense. So that means if you are doing any international transaction, you cannot spend more than $10. But those days, even if you have $1,000, even though you want to spend $100,000 with your debit card, you can do it. But like this, I said earlier, a lot of improvements have actually taken place in the market. Now you don't even need a bank card. The brokerage account have an online presence where you can just transfer money of any amount, even if it is $100,000 you want to fund your trading account with. And once you transfer it, there is a particular code attached to that your bank, because the bank details expires just after some particular time. It is going to be credited in your bank account. So you can see what I'm talking about, the ease of access. I just hope this concept is clearly understood. Now, let's talk about the importance of Forex trading. It is number one, minimal investment cost. You can it depends on the broker. Now you can even deposit from as little as $10, $20, $30, 40, 50, 1,000, 2,000, $200,000. It all depends on your capacity. Okay. Now the second importance of forex trading is minimal time commitment. Once you have mastered this skill, once you have become a professional, 3 to 6 hours per day is good enough for you to come into the market and leave the market. The third one is no employees, no office, no inventory. You don't need to employ anybody. You don't need anybody to employ you. You don't need an office space. You don't need to arrange an inventory in your office for you to start trading forex. Just with your smartphone, your tablet, your desktop, your laptop, anything that can access the internet is good enough. Just your smartphone and internet connection, that is all. You don't need anything again. Okay, so that is the importance. So you can become self-employed. You can be inside your house, make money. You can travel anywhere in the world, come online and make money, because it's a global business. The fourth reason why it is important is it is recession proof. This is very, very good point. The foreign exchange market is proof of recession. If a country's economy is bad, it means the country's currency will be going down. As a forex trader, what are you going to do? Just sell. You enter your lot size, open your leverage and position size. That is all. You sell off. Okay? If the country's currency is good, it started appreciating. If it is now going up, what are you going to do? As simple as buy. So whether the country's economy is good, whether it is bad, you are making money. So even if the currency is going down, you are making money as a seller. If the country's currency is going up, you are making money as a buyer. Okay? Now, the fifth reason or importance of forex trading is 24 hours flexibility. In Nigeria, we are 1 hour ahead of GMT. Okay? 24 hours flexibility means you can trade it all over anytime you feel like. And then if you travel to UK, if you travel to the US, if you travel to Asia, if you travel to any part of Europe, you can also trade this foreign exchange. And the last but not the least is you generate consistent profit from trading forex. Okay? So in this foreign exchange business, we have basically 3 categories of currency pairs. Number 1, we have the major currencies or the majors. They just call it majors for short. One, we have the major. Okay, sorry. We have the majors, we have the crosses or minors, and then we have the exotic currency pairs. Now, the major currency pairs are the currency pairs that always include the US dollar. Any currency pair that includes the US dollar, I'm going to use graphic images to illustrate these currency pairs that I'm talking about. Any currency pair that includes the US dollar is a major currency pair. Okay? Now, the minor currency or the cross currency, just like the name implies, they do not include the US dollar. So once there is no US dollar there, it is either a cross or you call it the minus. While the exotic currency pairs, these exotic currency pairs are crosses of any of the major currency pairs, which include one major currency and the currency from an emerging or a developing country. A major currency like US dollar against Nigerian naira. So Nigeria is a developing country, so all our currencies are not really traded in the market actively because they are exotic currencies. Their spread used to be very, very high. You open high amount and you make minimal return on investment at the end of the day. Why? Because of our level of development. Okay, because of our level of economic development. So we are still an underdeveloped nation. Excuse me, still an underdeveloped nation. So I just hope the concept of these 3 currencies is understood. We have 3 categories of currency pair. We have the major currency. When I talk about the major currency, I'm talking about the currency pair that include the US dollar. The minor currency, the ones that do not include the US dollar. Then the exotic currency, any major currency, US dollar, pound, euro, that is attached to an exotic currency pair from a developing country like Nigeria. We can call South Africa, any African country you can think of. Okay, so let's look at this major, minor, and crosses. Alright, now globally we have 7 major currency pairs, sometimes 8, some 9, but these are the basic ones that are well known. So like I said earlier, the major currency pairs, they always have the US dollars attached to it. Okay, the first one there is the Euro US dollar. Okay, the Euro US dollar is a major currency pair. GBP USD, which is Great British Pound against United States dollar. USD JPY, which is United States dollar Japanese yen. The US dollar CHF. CHF stands for Swiss franc. US dollar CAD, which is Canadian dollar. Aussie dollar against US dollar, which is Australian dollar against US dollar. And finally, NZD USD, which is the New Zealand dollar against United States dollar. Now these are the major currency pairs. Like I said, the major currency pairs, they always have they always have US dollars attached to them. Okay, like I said from the beginning of this class, I said that this forex is traded in currency pairs. They are not independent events. They are not independent currencies. You don't trade euro against itself. You don't trade US dollar against itself. You don't trade Great Britain pound against itself. You don't trade United States dollar against or Japanese yen against itself. The same thing applies to CHF, which is the Swiss franc, which is the currency of Switzerland, CAD, Canadian dollar, AUD, Australian dollar, NZD, New Zealand dollar. Okay, so it must be traded against another country's currency. It's just like importation and exportation. Okay, so if you are exporting some kind of goods from Nigeria to United States, you are going once you get to United States, they are going to pay you in dollars, right? Then if you are coming back to Nigeria, you are going to exchange that naira back to dollar. So that is how it works. So the first we are still going to talk about the first currency, how they are being explained. We have the first currency is also always known as the base currency, and then sorry, it's known as the quote currency, while the second one is known as the base currency. We are still going to talk about that in the next as we proceed in this lesson. So these are the major currency pairs. Okay, now let's look at the minor currency pairs. Now, example of forex currency pairs. We have the major currency, we have the minor currency, and we have the exotic currency, as you can see clearly here. Like I said, and I will repeat, the major currency always have the US dollar attached to it. The major currency always have the US dollar attached to it. Look at here, we have Euro US dollar, GBP US dollar, US dollar Swiss franc, US dollar Japanese yen, which is JPY. Now, for the minor currency now, I say that the minor currency, once a major currency is crossing each other, once a major currency is crossing each other, that currency pair is known as a minor currency. Let me go back to our previous slide and show you something. All these currencies are major currency. Euro US dollar is a major currency. GBP US dollar is a major. Everything is against dollar. But by the time you are seeing Euro GBP instead of US dollar, you are seeing US dollar, you are seeing CHF JPY instead of US dollar. You are seeing AUD card instead of US dollar. That tells you that the currency pair is a minor currency. Here is the point. Once two major currency are crossing each other, they are minor currencies. But all the major currencies that have the US dollar attached to it, they are known as the major currencies. I just hope this concept is clearly understood. Okay, so if you can see very well here, we have the minor. The first one here is the major currency. You can see major currency. It is the major currency. Let me use this box. You can see major here, minor currency, and then exotic currency. Okay, now like I said, the major currency always have US dollar attached to it. You can see US dollar is always attached to it. Once you are attaching US dollar to any major currency, be it JPY, which is Japanese yen, GBP, Great Britain pound, it is known as a major currency. But if you are crossing any of those major currency, like we have here, the first one we are having Euro against Japanese yen, GBP, which is Great Britain pound. It is now a minor currency pair. Great Britain pound versus Japanese yen. It is now a minor currency pair. Great Britain pound against the Swiss franc is a minor currency pair. Now let's look at the exotic currency pairs. Like I said, if you have any major currency to pair it with a currency from a developing market or an emerging market or a developing country like Nigeria and every other African country, let me just use that word, any other African country out there, because Africa is still underdeveloped, we are still underdeveloped in Africa. Okay, it is an exotic pair and it is highly volatile because people don't really trade it. The liquidity there is very, very poor because of the nature of the economy of the countries. But so now for the exotic currency pair, if you look very well, you will see that the US dollar is the major currency that is used to categorize all the currency pairs. Okay, South African rand, SGD, I can't denote, but was any currency pair, Pakistan money, money from Brazil, money from which other country can you think of? They are all exotic pair if you are attaching them to any major currency pair. So for this purpose of understanding, like I said, any African country that is currency is attached to the US dollar, it is an exotic currency pair in the chart. All these things, like I said earlier, it will begin to make sense when you go live on the chart. Just have these things in mind. Okay, it may not really make sense now to you. With time, everything will become clear if you are understanding what I'm saying. Okay, now here, like I said, the US dollar was what was used, which is a major currency pair against every other currency. So it's not that you are using only US dollar. You can use GBP against Naira, JPY against Naira, CHF against Naira, AUD against Naira. I'm using Naira in the case of our country. Euro against Naira. Which other country I have not checked again? That is an exotic currency. That is an exotic currency. Okay. Now let's see the other cross currencies. Like for the first one here, we have Euro. I'm looking at another slide here. We have this. Let me move this up. Okay. Cross currency pairs. Now we have the Euro. We have the Japanese yen, which is JPY. We have the Great Britain pound. We have the Canadian dollar. We have the Australian dollar. We have the New Zealand dollar. Okay. Now these crosses, for example, euro, every other currency that is crossed with the euro here, you will see them on the live market chart. For example, we have euro slash GBP, euro slash CHF, euro slash CAD, euro against Australian dollar, euro against New Zealand dollar, finally euro against Japanese yen. These are major currencies. Okay, so like I said earlier, if a major currency is crossing another major currency, it becomes a minor currency or a cross currency. That's why we call them cross currency. I just hope the concept is clearly understood. That's why we call them cross currencies, because of the fact that they cross each other. When two major currencies cross each other, they are known as minor currency, and we also call them cross currency. Major currencies are euro, Japanese yen, Great Britain pound, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, and the US dollar. They are all major currency. So have it in mind that so long as you are not seeing US dollar attached to any of these currency pairs, it is not a major currency. But if you are seeing US dollar slash JPY, it is a major currency. If you are seeing Great Britain pound, which is GBP slash USD or US dollar, it is a major currency. Okay, now all these are the currency crosses of their self. This is how Great Britain pound can cross any other country currency. Sorry, this is how Japanese yen can cross any other currency. This is how Great Britain pound can cross any other currency. We are seeing Great Britain pound against the Australian dollar, Great Britain pound against the Swiss franc, Great Britain pound against Canadian dollar, like that. Then you have the Canadian dollar here against the Swiss franc, Australian dollar against Canadian dollar, like that. Okay, so for clarity's sake, all the while I've been saying GBP slash USD slash this slash that. currency structure, which is on the template on if you go back to this video, you see the table of content. I say something like currency structure. The currency structure is just the way in which the currencies are arranged. Okay, look at this. This is how, like I told you, currencies don't trade each other, rather they trade against another currency. They don't trade themselves. This is GBP slash USD. Can you take 5 seconds to think of what currency type is this? TikTok, that is all. This is GBP slash US dollar. This is a major currency. Why? Because there is a US dollar attached to Great Britain pound. This is a major currency. Now, the Great Britain pound here, this Great Britain pound is known as the base currency, while the US dollar here is known as the quote currency. Let me go back again. Currencies are arranged in pairs. Like I said earlier, you have GBP JPY, US dollar JPY, Canadian dollar, Australian dollar. They are always arranged in pairs. Now, the first currency you are seeing here, the very first one, is known as the base currency. Okay? And then the second one is known as the quote currency. Now, the base currency is the currency you are buying when you trade the Forex pair. So let's say this is GBP slash US dollar, and this currency, let's say currently it is trading at let's say it is trading at 1 point, let's say 1, okay, let's say it is trading at 1.220. Let me change the location. 1.2069. Okay, let's say this is the value, because there is always a value attached to each currency pair when you go live. It means you need 1.2 worth of Great Britain pound, okay, which is your base currency. That is the currency you are buying when you trade the Forex pair. You will need this amount of 1.2069 of US dollar to buy the Great Britain pound in this scenario. Okay, so which is just 1.2069, like that, for illustrative purpose. But that aside, we are going to go back to that particular point in time. But what I want you to pick here is that currencies are denoted in pairs, and the first pair is always known as the base currency, while the second pair is known as the quote currency. It is the currency you are going to sell when you trade the Forex pair. So as this situation implies now, is that if you are going to trade here, it means you are buying the Great Britain pound and you are selling the US dollar. Okay, it means you are buying Great Britain pound and then selling, you are buying this and then you are selling this. That is what it simply means. So this is the base currency, which is GBP slash USD, which is the quote currency. Okay, I hope this concept is understood. Like I said, you are not going to understand the concept from the very beginning. It's normal, it's like that. Like I said earlier, it's like that. But as time goes on, these are basic things you actually just need to know, so that when you go to the live market chart, you are not going to get confused. Okay, so that is that. So let's look at the next slide. So this is a clearer image, a clearer slide. So like I said earlier, the first currency pair is always the base currency, and then the second currency pair is also the quote currency. You will always see this slash in between them. You always see that dash in between them, like that. Okay, so now The same scenario here. Like I explained further, I'm just bringing up different slides so you can further understand what I'm saying. The first currency, always have it in mind, it is the base currency. This is our base currency. The second currency, which is in this situation, this is euro, and then US dollar is the quote currency. So this is a major currency pair. So like I said in some few minutes back, in this situation you are buying the euro and selling the dollar. The base currency is the currency you are always buying, while the quote currency is the currency you are always selling. So in this situation, if the current market situation is 1.4000, it means that the value of 1 unit of the base currency into the quote currency, that is 1 unit of the euro into the quote currency, which is the dollar, is equal to 1 euro is equal to $1.4. Okay, so that means if you are buying this euro and selling the dollar, you are going to get $1.400 worth of US dollars. So that is just what the concept is all about here. Okay, so let me quickly do a recap of what I've been saying all through for the past 40 minutes or so. For example, you want to travel to the United States. When you get to the airport or once you get to United States, you cannot spend naira in the United States. The money you are going to spend in United States is dollars. Now, if $1 is equal to, let's say, now a dollar is almost trading at 1,700, looking at some brokers. 1,600 and something. Let's say $1 is equal to 1,600 naira. Okay, so that means if you have 1,600 naira and you go to the United States, they are only going to give you $1. You can see how depreciated our currency have gone. If you have 1,600 naira, if that is the current exchange rate at that moment, like I told you, the exchanges take place, it changes per second because of businesses that are going on, government policies, economic capacity or economic powers all over the globe determine the value of your country currency. In Nigeria, we don't produce anything. That's why our currency is that bad. It's not that effective in the market. Same thing with most African countries because we are underdeveloped third world countries. So for example, let me repeat what I just said for clarity. If $1 is equal to 1,600 naira, if you go to the United States with 1,600 naira, they are only giving you $1. If you come to Nigeria,